Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're getting into a really complicated and often heartbreaking story about finding meaning when you're facing an ending.
An ending that's both guaranteed and, well, way too soon.
Right. And our mission here is to really pull out the big philosophical questions.
Yeah.
How these characters clash, what legacy even means, and why looking for neat closure is maybe the wrong goal entirely.
So let's jump in. We have our central duo. First, there's Hazel Grace Lancaster. She's 16, stage 40 cancer, always with her oxygen tank.
And she reads the same unfinished book over and over.
Obsessively. And on the other side, you've got Augustus Waters, or Gus. He's 17, super charismatic, and osteosarcoma survivor.
He has a prosthetic leg, but this almost theatrical way about him.
And where they meet is just so loaded with symbolism. It's a support group in a church basement.
In what the group leader calls the literal heart of Jesus.
Exactly. So right away, this isn't just going to be a simple love story. There's this immense spiritual and existential pressure from the very first scene.
And that tension just ignites almost immediately with Gus's, what do you call it, his gimmick?
The unlit cigarette. It's his signature move.
Right. So he pulls one out, puts it in his mouth, but never lights it. He says it's a metaphor.
You put the killing thing right between your teeth, but you don't give it the power to do its killing.
It's such a performance.
Yeah.
And Hazel sees right through it.
She just completely rejects it. She calls it his hamartia.
His fatal flaw. And why that specific term?
Because for her, it's not some deep philosophical statement. It's just vanity.
Yeah. She points out he literally gave money to a corporation that exists to cause cancer, all just for this cheap bit of theater.
And bam, the battle lines are drawn. Gus wants to perform heroism, and Hazel, she just wants honesty. Brutal honesty.
That brutal honesty really defines how Hazel sees herself, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. She doesn't just see herself as sick. She sees herself as a grenade.
A grenade? Meaning what exactly?
Meaning she's just waiting to blow up and hurt everyone she loves. She's convinced of it.
And she argues that depression isn't a side effect of cancer. It's a side effect of dying.
And she has her proof, right. Gus's ex-girlfriend, Caroline Mathers, her illness made her cruel, so Hazel thinks that's my future. To love her is to eventually be wounded by her.
Which brings us to their big philosophical clash. Gus fears oblivion.
Just being forgotten, not leaving a mark on the world.
But Hazel, she's on the complete opposite side. She argues for accepting that we're all headed for oblivion.
She gets this from her third best friend, the reclusive author Peter Van Houten.
Right. She says eventually, everyone will be gone and everything we did won't matter, so why fight it?
It's the ultimate anti-legacy stance. But if pain is unavoidable, what do you do with it? We see this play out so viscerally with their friend Isaac.
Isaac is losing his sight to cancer.
Yeah.
And right before the surgery, his girlfriend Monica dumps him.
It's just brutal, and he completely spirals.
And what does Gus do? He doesn't offer empty platitudes. He encourages the breakdown.
He hands him his prized basketball trophies and just says, try something that breaks.
It's this raw moment where they accept that pain isn't something to be fixed. It's something to be felt.
Which is a direct quote from Van Houten's book, right? Pain demands to be felt.
So if they agree pain is necessary, Hazel's next mission is to try and put some kind of order on it.
And that's where her obsession with Van Houten's novel, An Imperial Affliction, comes in.
The book that ends mid-sentence.
She is desperate for an epilogue. She has to know what happens to Anna's mother and the Dutch tulip man. She needs that narrative closure.
And this need for control, for an ending, leads to Gus's grand gesture.
The grandest. He uses his Genie Foundation wish.
The equivalent of a Make-A-Wish.
Right. And he doesn't use it on himself. He uses it to take Hazel to Amsterdam to meet Van Houten.
The trip is so carefully constructed, too. You see all these little metaphors he's built in. The orange blanket, the basketball jersey.
And that picnic near the Funky Bones sculpture, the giant skeleton. Gus points out that it forces kids to play on a symbol of death. He says the symbolic resonances are endless.
It's all part of his performance. He's building a monumental memory to fight off oblivion.
But the reality of meeting the author just shatters that entire monument.
The meeting is a total disaster.
An absolute train wreck. Van Houten is just a miserable, drunken recluse.
And he dodges all her questions with these philosophical red herrings. Zeno's paradox, Swedish hip-hop.
Anything to avoid giving her a straight answer. He says he disavows everything in that putrid novel.
But the failure of that meeting is, ironically, what makes the trip a success.
How so?
Because it forces them to stop looking for external closure and to rely entirely on each other, on their internal emotional connection.
Ah, which leads us to the Anne Frank house, the kiss.
Exactly. And Hazel has this realization that the young and irreparably broken sink into love. It's not just romance. It's an admission that being vulnerable is the only real way forward.
And then they finally learn the source of Van Houten's cruelty.
He reveals his own daughter died of leukemia when she was 8. Anna, the book, was her.
So he's not some philosophical gatekeeper. He's just a man consumed by his own trauma. He tells Hazel, grief does not change you, it reveals you.
That journey to Amsterdam, even though it failed to get them an epilogue, it forced a much bigger truth out into the open.
The real one. Shortly after they get back, Gus tells her.
The cancer is back, and it's everywhere.
Lining of his chest, hip, liver. It's a death sentence, and he'd been hiding it.
Because he didn't want her to see him decline, which is the exact mirror of her grenade fear from the beginning, isn't it?
It is. Now he's the one who believes his existence will only cause her pain.
But instead of pulling away, they lean in. Gus gives her this perfect counter-argument to her whole theory.
He tells her, it would be a privilege to have my heart broken by you.
He chooses the intimacy, knowing the pain is inevitable. He chooses the wound.
And that choice defines everything that follows. But it's not romanticized. The decline is painful, and it's fragmenting.
Right up to that last humiliating moment at the gas station.
Oh, that scene is just gut-wrenching. He sneaks out just to do one little thing myself, to buy a pack of cigarettes.
The metaphor that started it all.
And his body just completely fails him. The G-tube malfunctions, his heroic performance, his whole identity, it just collapses right there on the pavement.
He's defeated, utterly humiliated.
And he asks Hazel the most heartbreaking question. He says, where is my chance to be somebody's Peter Van Houten? His fear of oblivion is now the messy, undignified reality of his death.
That desperate need for a legacy, it comes to a head at his pre-funeral.
The last good day. He makes Isaac and Hazel give their eulogies to him while he's still alive to hear them.
He's so determined to know what his life meant.
And the eulogies they give, they reveal what actually mattered. Isaac's is so personal. He says he won't get robotic eyes because he doesn't want to see a world without Gus in it.
And Hazel, she talks about their epic love story. She grounds his meaning in their shared time together.
But then you have the minister's speech at the actual funeral, which Hazel just despises.
Because it's all about a courageous battle and being healed and whole in heaven.
And she feels that it completely minimizes the real, flawed, funny, complicated person Gus actually was. It replaces him with a generic hero narrative.
Which is exactly the narrative Gus himself vaunted for so long. And now, in death, it rings totally hollow.
Then, after he dies, his father finds a notebook. A few pages are torn out.
Gus's last words, which he mailed to Van Houten.
Van Houten shows up at the funeral, still a mess, but maybe a little changed, and gives Hazel the pages. It's Gus's final analysis.
And it's a complete rejection of the legacy he chased his whole life.
He argues that the marks humans usually leave aren't statues, they're scars. Minimals, dictatorships.
Real heroism, he says, isn't doing big things. It's noticing things. It's about paying attention to the small, fragile world right in front of you.
He finally gets it. The search for a grand historical legacy is just a distraction from what's real.
And he ends with this incredible validation of Hazel's choice to love him. He writes, "You don't get to choose if you get hurt in this world, but you do have some say in who hurts you. I like my choices."
He accepted the wound, he chose it. And that's everything. The finite pain of connection is worth more than the infinite safety of being alone.
So the big takeaway here, the philosophical nugget we're extracting, is what? Legacy is vanity.
And intimacy is triumph, even when it hurts. Maybe because it hurts.
It's like Gus said, some infinities are larger than other infinities. Their time was brief, but by choosing each other, they found their own brief but still infinite forever.
So what's left after that? We see Hazel's mother, who decides to go back to school for a master's in social work.
And she tells Hazel something so powerful. As long as either of us is alive, I will be your mother. Even when you die, I will still be your mom.
She finds a new purpose, a new foundation born directly out of that loss. Which leaves a final thought for you, the listener. What knowledge or purpose, something you can only discover by confronting a profound loss, can become the foundation for the life that has to go on?